Imagine it's 1938. The world is on the brink of war. In a lab in Berlin, a woman is on the verge of a discovery that will change history forever. But she has to run for her life, and when the dust settles, her name will be almost erased from the very breakthrough she pioneered. This is the incredible untold story of Lise Meitner, the forgotten woman who split the atom. Lise Meitner wasn't just a physicist, she was a trailblazer. Born in Vienna in 1878, she was only the second woman to earn a doctorate in physics from the University of Vienna. In an era when women were barely allowed in laboratories, she moved to Berlin and began an unpaid 30-year collaboration with a chemist named Otto Hahn. They were a perfect team. Hahn was the brilliant experimentalist and Meitner was the theoretical genius who understood the physics behind their work. They were so close, Hahn called her his inspiration. Albert Einstein himself called her our Marie Curie. For decades, they were at the forefront of nuclear physics, discovering new elements and gaining international acclaim. But then the world darkened. In 1933, the Nazis rose to power. Meitner, who was of Jewish heritage, was initially protected by her Austrian citizenship. But in 1938, when Germany annexed Austria, her protection vanished overnight. Suddenly, she was a target. Her colleagues, including Otto Hahn, grew distant. Fearing for her life, she made a desperate escape. With only 10 marks in her pocket and a diamond ring from Hahn to bribe the guards if needed, she fled across the border into Holland, eventually finding refuge in Sweden. But her mind never left the lab in Berlin. Hahn continued their experiments, but he was lost without her. He would bombard uranium with neutrons, and the results were baffling. He kept finding barium, a much lighter element which seemed impossible. He wrote desperate letters to Meitner in Sweden. "Perhaps you can come up with some fantastic explanation," he pleaded. And she did. It was Christmas 1938. Meitner was in the snowy Swedish countryside with her nephew, Otto Frisch, also a physicist. As they walked, she read Hahn's latest letter. She sat down on a log, pulled out scraps of paper, and started scribbling calculations. It was then, in the middle of a winter walk, that the fantastic explanation hit her. The uranium nucleus wasn't chipping, it was splitting in two. She calculated the immense energy that would be released in this process, using Einstein's famous E=mc2 equation. She and Frisch named it nuclear fission. They had unlocked the power of the atom, she immediately told Hahn. In 1939, Hahn published the chemical findings in a scientific journal. But here's the twist, he published it without her name. He claimed the discovery was based on his chemical experiments alone, downplaying Meitner's crucial physical interpretation. Why? Partly out of fear. Acknowledging a Jewish collaborator in Nazi Germany was dangerous. But later he rationalized it, claiming physics had nothing to do with it. He took sole credit for a discovery they had made together. The consequences were monumental. In 1944, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of nuclear fission was awarded to Otto Hahn alone. Lise Meitner was completely ignored. It was one of the most glaring omissions in the history of science. Over her lifetime, Lise Meitner was nominated for the Nobel Prize a staggering 49 times, in both physics and chemistry, but she never won. Meanwhile, her discovery was weaponized into the atomic bomb, a development that horrified her. She famously refused to work on the Manhattan Project, declaring, "I will have nothing to do with a bomb." Despite the injustice, Meitner continued her research and became a symbol of integrity. She never publicly expressed bitterness, but the slight stung deeply. She received many other awards later in life, and in 1997, long after her death, a small piece of justice was served. Element 109, one of the heaviest in the universe, was officially named Meitnerium in her honor. A permanent tribute etched into the periodic table, ensuring her name would never be forgotten again. So next time you hear about the splitting of the atom, remember it wasn't just one man in a lab. It was also a brilliant woman, a refugee scribbling on scraps of paper in a snowy forest who truly understood the power they had unleashed. Remember Lise Meitner,